Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. What a beautiful garden we've created here. You should have seen it before. I think it won the World Championships for the worst decking in the world. The clients had lots of animals, lots of rabbits, guinea pigs and the like. We don't mind the tortoise. We love the tortoise. Here he is, look. I don't know his name, so we'll just call him George. Say hello to George, everybody. The client already had a water feature. His shed was over there. We had an excavator in here. We got rid of 3 8-yard skips. That's an enormous amount of waste out of such a small garden, but we needed to do that to create the elevation differences that the client wanted. We took the fence down in the back of the garden because there's a car park just here. It was nice and easy to get the materials in and out of the garden. We're in Harefield, by the way. We interviewed the client. The client was really receptive to talking about his plants. This is what the client had to say about his plant. Is there a disparity in the amount of sunlight that one half of the garden gets over the other?
It's different times of the day. The right hand side now gets more light during the morning because we took some of the trees out on that side. This side you can see is in the sun for most of the afternoon. But my concern was the plants wouldn't take on the right hand side, but they have done. They've done really well. They've had enough sun in the morning to just keep them going. But it's all worked out really well. I wasn't sure that it would work having the same plants opposite each other, but so far it has.
I think so. The proof will be in the pudding next spring.
Yeah, absolutely. I added some dahlias as well, pink dahlias into the beds because I thought the cosmos were finishing for the year, but they've come back strong again after the constantly dead heavy ones.
So my favourite plant in your planting scheme, it has to be the verbena. Tell me what's different about the verbena you've chose and why did you choose it?
Well, I've had one Ariensis before, which has grown to 6 foot, and I've seen the rigider ones on TV that stay much smaller, sort of 2.5 foot, and that was the right size for this size bed.
You couldn't have picked a better choice there, mate. That is what careful consideration for planting is all about.
The small plants, when I put them in, but they've done really well.
And of course most of them are going to die off and go to nothing in the winter, but then that lets us appreciate what the garden looks like in the winter. Yeah. You can't really expect flowers all year round. We don't live in the Caribbean.
No, it gives me a chance. I think I'd like to put some allium in. So also we missed that this year because we planted the garden up kind of late summer.
Alliums would definitely work. There's some of the high varieties.
Yeah, that's it.
Talk to me about the history of your water feature.
It's a little homemade job, really. My friends were doing their back garden, they had some granite paving slabs left over.
I just think the water feature, it's so simple. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's got a special meaning. Its purpose in this garden, it offers that sort of really beautiful, tranquil sound. The way that you've got those polystick and ferns around the outside and the athyrieums, I just think that's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's an area I'm going to plant up a bit more, and we put the geraniums in as well, for that little hint of purple, and then just some little pansies had a little bit dash of yellow, so I've got yellow around the rest of the garden.
Yeah, it offers a brilliant balance.
Yeah.
Black grasses, are they opiophagons?
Yes, they are, yeah.
Love those. They add such a lovely contrast. You mentioned about getting some alliums in the garden possibly for next spring. I'd get them in during this side of the winter, give them a fighting chance. To get frozen, that'll force them to get much taller and you'll have a better plant in the spring. Gigantium, I'd say no, that'd spoil the space. They just get too big. And the Christophi, I think they're perhaps a little bit too fragmented for the style of garden. My favourite would be either Graceful Beauty or even Silver Spring.
The Silver Spring are the white ones with the purple centres?
That's exactly right. Bloody hell, you know your plants.
Yeah. No, that's a good call, and I agree with you. I don't want it to be too heavy, too big, so something that adds interest to it.
Interest? Well, I'll tell you about interest. No one else will have a garden with those alliums in. That, again, to me, is making your garden more personalised.
Yeah, I'll look out for those, definitely.
We also built a deck as their main platform. There was actually quite a deep hole here because there was decking here previously, so we used Millboard. Client chose it, client loved it, so that's what we designed. These little upstands around the garden to keep Brian the tortoise in check. The client wanted Millboard, he loved Millboard, so this is what he's got. He's got this beautiful limed oak, a couple of trapdoors for some inspection covers. We've got a routed lip underneath here. You can't actually see it. There's an LED strip that sits nice and tight to the underneath. Blends really well. It's 2800R, it's warm white, looks beautiful in the evening, it's not too overpowering. We've got some spotlights around the outside. It's all hooked up to the remote control switch. It controls the water feature lights, the planting lights and the actual deck lights, which are amazing because you can't see them in the day, which I kind of prefer that. I don't like those upstanding lights in the deck. kind of look at them and you go blind and you think, well, they don't illuminate anything, so what have you got them for? But the lights here look amazing in the evening. They sort of light the lilac tree and the magnolia and all of the other beautiful plants in these borders. The client had loads of hutches for all of the different animals, and we managed to convince the client to push this into the undergrowth at the back of the garden. The client's done a really good job of using this cranesbill geranium and this Ethereum, beautiful fern, kind of, as you can see, it hangs over and it disguises it. Beautiful dark brown colours. It just disappears into the corner of the garden. I love stuff like that. It's not for everybody, but it kind of works here because that's what the client needs, right? The Right Honourable Lord, I've promoted him, Sir Alan Sargent, has created another book. You should buy it. Why should you buy this book? You should buy this book if you are thinking of investing in a new garden, because this is the unique homeowner's manual for buying a garden. Covers everything. Tells you the who's who of who's who, the how's how of how's how, what to have, what not to have, what to expect, bit about costs, CDM regulations, do you need planning permission for your new garden, what can you fit in what space, and ultimately who you should get to design and build your new garden. Anyway, that's enough about His Lordship Alan Sargent. Well, thanks for tuning in. Buy the book. Tune in next time. Comments down the bottom there. Let me know if you've got any questions. Private email me. You never know. Could be designing your garden next. Thanks, guys.